and library friends. This is Miss Amy, and I'm here on this sunny Friday to have my preschoolers some great stories. Do you like to dance? Do you like to wiggle? Do you like to jump and move? Well, everything we're going to do today is about moving. So get ready to have a little bit of fun with us. Let's see if Pete's here. Hey, Pete. Yoo-hoo. Oh, there's Pete. Oh, and he brought some other friends with him. There's my little blackbirds. And there's Pete. Oh, Pete, you took off your scarf and hat. It is getting warmer out. Weatherman says it's still going to be a little bit cold the next week or two. But boy, did you get outside to play yesterday, friends? It was beautiful. My family went for a bike ride, and I saw lots of people walking. I even saw some of my library friends out for a walk yesterday. The weather in the springtime is so nice. And today, even though it's a little cooler, is still sunny. So Pete, you ready to do a little moving? Oh yeah, there he goes. So let's start with our two little blackbirds. And I have a new poem because I changed it up. And then we'll sing our welcome song. Two little blackbirds dancing on a hill, one named Jeff and one named Bill. Dance a jig, Jeff, dance a jig, Bill. Waltz slowly, Jeff, and waltz slowly, Bill. Can you do it with me? You can put up your thumbs or two fingers or your whole hand to make your two little blackbirds. And when we do the waltz part, we're going to go much more slowly. Two little blackbirds dancing on a hill, one named Jeff and one named Bill. Dance a jig, Jeff, dance a jig, Bill. Waltz slowly, Jeff, and waltz slowly, Bill. Put your birds away. And we're going to do this little wiggle wiggle poem, and that'll get us all settled in. But of course, since we're doing some dancing and wiggling, moving things today, we're probably getting back up later. A wiggle wiggle here, a wiggle wiggle there. Wiggle your hands up in the air. Wiggle your shoulders, wiggle your hips, wiggle your knees, and wiggle your lips. Wiggle, 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 and wiggle some more. And now let's sit down right on the floor. Let's do it one more time. Wiggle, wiggle here, a wiggle, wiggle there, and wiggle your hands up in the air. Wiggle your shoulders, wiggle your hips, wiggle your knees, and wiggle your lips. And wiggle, 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 wiggle some more. And now let's sit down on the floor for our first story. My first story today is about a giraffe. And this poor giraffe can't dance. Well, at least he thinks he can't. And some of the other animals aren't very nice to him, and they don't think he can dance either. But he's going to learn a good lesson in this story. So you snuggle in for this one, and then after it, we'll probably get up and do a little more moving, or at least pretending we're going to move. Giraffes Can't Dance, written by Giles Andre. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Poor giraffe. Now, every year in Africa, they hold a jungle dance. Every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad because when it came to dancing, he was really bad. The warthogs started waltzing. The rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. The chimps all did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor, but the lions saw him coming, and they soon began to roar. "Hey, look at clumsy Gerald!" the animals all sneered. "Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool. Oh, Gerald, you're so weird." Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. "They're right," he said. "I'm useless. Oh, I feel like such a clot." So he crept off from the dance floor and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before, so sad and so alone. Then he found a little clearing and he looked up at the sky. "The moon can be so beautiful," he whispered with a sigh. "Excuse me," coughed a cricket, a little cricket right there, who'd seen Gerald earlier on. "But sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song. Listen to the swaying grass, and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to." With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying, and his tail was swishing round. He threw his legs out sideways, and he swung them everywhere. And then he did a backward somersault and leapt up into the air. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. "I am dancing! Yes, I'm dancing! I am dancing!" Gerald cried. Then one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle! We must be in a dream! Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen!" "How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how." But Gerald simply twirled around and finished with a bow. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love." There's Gerald doing all these dance moves on the end pages. And that's a great book because sometimes maybe you feel like you can't do something, and maybe you just need to hear your own music like Gerald did. He heard the cricket, he heard the leaves and the trees, he was inspired by the beautiful light of the moon, and he was a wonderful dancer after all. But it was when he was trying to do things just like everybody else that he had trouble. So if you're a dancer, doesn't matter what kind of dance you do, you get up and enjoy dancing. We'll put a little music on later and maybe do a little dancing. I think we might do the freeze today too. That would be a fun one. So I know that you know this song already, but I got this poem, a new flannel board of my favorite 5 little monkeys. And you know what they do, what's their moving? They are going to be jumping on the bed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can use 5 little fingers, make a bed with your other hand, or if you are in a place at home where you can stand up and jump around, you may. And be careful if you fall like the monkeys are going to fall. Get ready to say it with me. 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed." Help me count how many are left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little monkeys are jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped their head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, "No more monkeys jumping on the bed." But Three little monkeys are jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped her head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. How many are left? One, two. Two little monkeys are jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped their head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. One little monkey left jumping on the bed. He fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor and the doctor said, put those monkeys back to bed. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little monkeys go fast asleep. I hope you don't jump on your bed. Sometimes beds break if we jump. Maybe you have a trampoline you can jump on. So you have fun with lots of jumping today and tomorrow. And remember our 5 Little Monkeys poem. Let's see what other books I have. I have a couple I want to just show you. For the baby toddler story time, I read this one called Stretch, written by Doreen Cronin. And Doreen Cronin also wrote another book that's great called Wiggle, and another one that's called Bounce. So I'm going to read Wiggle with you. Then if you want to watch Stretch, you can go back and watch the baby toddler story time too. The bookworm, baby bookworms. Wiggle. And you can do a little wiggling while I'm reading it. Do you wake up with a wiggle? Do you wiggle out of bed? If you wiggle with your breakfast, it might wind up on your head. First, wiggle where your tail would be, then wiggle all your hair. Feeling extra silly? Wiggle in your underwear. Can you wiggle with your shadow? Can you wiggle with your toys? When you wiggle with gorillas, do they make a wiggle noise? Let me hear some gorilla noises out there. Woo, 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 woo. Can you wiggle in the water? Wiggle one fin on each side? Or wiggle like a crocodile and open big and wide? When you wiggle where your wings would be, wiggles fill the sky. Wiggle slowly when with polar bears. They're very wiggly shy. Snakes are one big wiggle. No wings, no tails, no feet. Some wiggles are worth waiting for. Wiggle, wiggle, tweet. Would you join me for a wiggle? Would you wiggle on the moon? I think we're out of wiggles now. See you wiggle soon. Those Doreen Cronin books are really fun. They really get us moving, and they're a lot of fun to read. Now, I'm going to show you a couple more books, and we may read one more. I have Wiggle Waggle by Jonathan London, which is a really fun one too. And I also have Dancing Feet by Lindsay Craig. And I'm going to read this in just a couple minutes, but first we're going to do the freeze. And when you used to be able to come into Patterson Library for story times, we would do the freeze quite a bit. I think most of you know it. So stand up wherever you are, and you're going to do lots of moving, but when the music stops and says freeze, make sure you freeze. Pete's going to dance a little with you too, and then we'll finish with Dancing Feet. All right, here we go.
Now here's a game that's kind of neat. Just gets your body in the beat. But when
can do a split. And you can shuffle and shake. Did you freeze? Don't forget, when the music stops,
here's a game that's kind of neat. Just get your body in the beat. Rolling your head a bit.
Boy, Beat's tail's really dancing.
I want to see you move a bit. Now you can dance any way you please. But listen close, we call it freeze.
Yeah, you did great. That was fun. It's fun to move, and today's going to be a great day to get outside and do some moving. It's so sunny and beautiful, so I hope you're still going to need a jacket, but you'll be able to get outside and do lots of playing outside and lots of moving on our Let's Move Storytime Day. Our last story is another one about dancing, and it's called Dancing Feet. It's written by Lindsay Craig, and Mark Brown did the illustrations, the pictures. And you might want to look for tracks outside. We went out in our yard the other day and we saw some deer tracks and some bunny tracks and some tracks we weren't even sure what they were, but it's that time of year, so maybe some little creatures are dancing or walking at your house and you might be able to see their tracks. Tippity, tippity, little black feet, who's that dancing on tippity feet? Ladybugs are dancing on tippity feet. Tippity, tippity, happy feet. Stompity, stompity, big gray feet. Who is dancing that stompity beat? I'll bet you can guess who that is. That's right. Elephant is dancing on stompity feet. Stompity, stompity, happy feet. Slappity, slappity, webbed orange feet. Who is dancing that slappity beat? Yup. Ducks are dancing on slappity feet. Slappity, slappity, happy feet. Creepity, creepity, lots of purple feet. Who is dancing that creepity beat? Can you discover? Caterpillars dancing on creepity feet. Creepity, creepity, happy feet. Thumpity, thumpity, furry brown feet. Who is dancing that thumpity beat? Bear is dancing that thumpity feet. Thumpity, thumpity, happy feet. Clickety, clickety, long green feet. Who is dancing that clickety beat? Can you guess who that is? When I first saw it, I thought it was Frog, but Frog doesn't have a long tail like that. I wonder who it could be. Lizard is dancing on clickety feet. Clickety, clickety, happy feet. Stampity, stampity, here are feet. Who is dancing that stampity beat? We are dancing on stampity feet. Stampity, stampity, happy feet. Thumpity, tippity, creepity, slappity, clickety, stompity, stampity. Happy, happy, dancing feet. Some fun end page pictures on this book too. There's all the tracks and there's all the children and the animals. So we're going to end with Skinamarink today, which I didn't put the words up, but I'll bet you already know it. So help me sing. Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. I love you in the morning and in the afternoon. I love you in the evening and underneath the moon. Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. Well, Pete and I hope that you have a great week. That's all we have for today. And next week we'll be reading stories about all things green. So you be thinking about things you see or you know are green. And we'll see if some of our stories are about that. See you next time. Bye-bye.